Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Tui. I will be your online teacher for this course. Is it called Ethics and Information Technology? I think it is. I think of it still as computer ethics, or actually more generally, ethics and digital technology, or the ethics of digital technology. I've been teaching this course for a while, back when it was called computer ethics. I want to say right away, I am a philosophy teacher. I have some training in philosophy. I have no training in computer science. I don't know a lot about it. What I My training is as a philosopher. I know something about ethics, and so my approach is from the philosophy side. It's not from the technical side. This is not a course in professional ethics. It's not a course in ethical computing. It is a course, I believe, could be characterized as a course about ethical issues that are raised by digital communications technologies, basically, digital technologies generally. Um, and my approach is as a academic philosopher who is interested, as I think we all are, in some of the more prominent ethical challenges that digital technology makes us or confronts us with. And we'll be looking at a few of those in this course. So it is really the ethics of digital technology, or ethical issues in digital technology, or computer ethics, generally speaking. That's what it's about. Um, my approach to the course, what I like to do before we get into specific issues, you can see in the main menu here, we'll be looking at some ethical issues involving Bitcoin or cryptocurrency generally. We'll be looking at just a week looking at chat. How can we not? Come on, everyone knows what's going on with chatbot. We'll be looking at a 1 week at the ethical challenges of chatbot in particular. I'm not going to call it the ethics of AI because, as far as I know, it's not an AI. It's an algorithm that does things and does them pretty well. We'll be looking extended look at surveillance, digital surveillance, and we'll wind up the course looking a couple weeks at the vast and maybe nonsensical issue, but some would say, but I would say the incredibly interesting issue of the singularity. Some of you are no doubt familiar with that term. I do think it's worth exploring. And so I take an issue based approach and just look as a philosopher, as a philosophy teacher, a person interested in philosophy. We're going to do analysis, reading and analysis of some of these more prominent issues. They could have been other issues I've talked about. There's plenty of other things we could talk about, but these are the ones that I've chosen. The first couple weeks of the course, and this is the folder for week one, have nothing to do with computers or digital technology. They have to do with thinking about what ethics and moral philosophy are, and learning a little basic. You could call it ethical approaches, or what I'm calling ethical decision making frameworks, using Kantianism and utilitarianism as my examples. And so we'll begin. Watch the video where I talk about what moral philosophy or ethics is, and then more particularly the approaches of Kantianism and utilitarianism. There's a video on that. And so, just to get us started in giving us kind of a grounding in ethical analysis, you can very quickly pick up the basic principles of Kantianism. Just have to know what the categorical imperatives are and have some notion of how to apply them, and you can begin to analyze ethical issues from the point of view of Kantianism. Same thing with utilitarianism. So that's what really the first week is about. There are certain tools in applied ethics that you can use if you so desire, and it's incredibly useful and interesting. Whether or not you think ultimately these approaches work is up to you, but it's an interesting exercise at least, which you will no doubt apply to the issues that are brought up. But the complicating factor is what we'll read in week 2, which is Hans Jonas's Technology and Responsibility, the New Tasks of Ethics, in which he throws into doubt the sufficiency of our received moral traditions and moral decision-making frameworks, things like Kantianism and utilitarianism, but others as well. His point being that modern technology has brought us to the point where these old, and he would say old-fashioned approaches are no longer sufficient because they were developed at a time when our ability to shape nature and our ability to do things that will permanently change our futures was quite limited, in terms of technology at least. So he calls for a new ethics. And so we'll be looking at that. And I think that that's a big part of the course insofar as what I'll be calling the Jonas thesis, which is essentially that the power of modern technology, and here we're focused on digital technology, is such that we need to develop a new ethics because the old ethical frameworks are no longer sufficient to deal with our new problems. This is a part of the course that's quite important, and one of the things I want you to be thinking about as we explore the issues in the rest of the course is whether the issues that we confront can actually be handled by things like Kantianism and utilitarianism, or whether Jonas is right, or whether Jonas's thesis applies, and some of these issues we need to begin to think about other ways of dealing with them. So that's pretty much the course. Week 1 and week 2 are really preparatory. They're really Week 1 is a general introduction to ethics. Week 2 is the Jonas essay in which we think about technology's effect on ethics. And then the rest of the course is a discussion of, analysis of actual particular ethical issues raised by digital technologies.